What's up, knife people? Back again with some more of these knives. Today I'll be doing a 2-week review of the GiantMouse Ace line Biblio. Green Micarta. Ace is the production line. I did a previous unboxing of it and kind of first impressions. Wasn't too happy with it, so I wanted to kind of give it a little redeeming factor here. So I think giving it a little 2-week review is a good way to go about it. So I'm going to try to read off some specs real quick just to kind of get those out of the way again. I'll post them again on the bottom just so you guys have them there. So starting off real quick, the overall length, sorry for the cops catching the bad guys, overall length 6.75 inches, blade 2.5 cutting, so a little bit more with the bit taken out there at the choil. Blade thickness 0.12 inches. Kind of has that rounded spine along there, a little plus there. It is a Stonewash blade, flat grind, so you can see how flat, and I'll talk about that soon too. Nice flat grind there. Handle length is 3.8 inches. Handle thickness, probably at the widest, is 0.58 inches, so about half an inch wide. Again, green micarta, stainless steel liners. Weight is 3.77 ounces, so close to 4 ounces. It is right hand, left hand carry, tip up only, so you can reverse the pocket clip. And this is the part we'll talk about a little bit. It is supposed to be a manual flipper and thumb hole opener. So flipper and thumb hole is what is advertised as the opening for the knife. So without further ado, let's just get into the pros and cons and kind of the whole review process. So right off the bat, I just want to say that the only bias that I might had towards the knife is I kind of had high expectations of it, so maybe just wanting it for so long, you know, you kind of wish it was more than it was, but not saying it's not, but so here, let's get into it. The comfort, craftsmanship. Craftsmanship is done very well. You see, it is a frame lock, I'm sorry, liner lock, so I didn't say that, but so yeah, the steel liners. Craftsmanship is very nice. Tolerances, micarta's nice, good quality materials. See all the gaps, no gaps in there aside from that, from the liner lock. Fit and finish is pretty spot on, see? So craftsmanship, look, nice barrel spacers. They even put their logo etched inside. I think Banter 24/7 pointed out that they were bead blasted. I haven't really noticed any kind of pitting in there or any kind of like rust or anything like that. I haven't took it apart completely, but that's all lint, really. Let's see here. One issue I did have with the knife is the contouring was nice around the front here, but as you get a little bit towards the back here, this part here looks like it lacked a little contouring. So I'm going to put that on my cons, that out of the pocket, coming into your pocket, you bump your knuckles on this, so it gets pretty rough right there. I will probably sand it off eventually, round it off a little bit better, but yeah, that's pretty rough on your knuckles or your hands as you're trying to get into your pocket and grab the knife, since it is like this. in your pocket, you're coming in on that hard angle right there, especially with all the spacers. It's pretty heavy. So craftsmanship is definitely a plus. I'll put that in the pros. Let's see here, aesthetics of the knife. Well, actually, craftsmanship, I guess the choil and ergonomics fall under craftsmanship. Very comfortable in the choked up grip. I don't like to choke up on it too much to where the meat of my finger goes onto the blade, so I just try to kind of keep it right at the line of my finger right there. I noticed that it cuts better for me when I choke up on the back choil and use the front to get a lot of leverage. So choking up doesn't work too good for me. I have noticed that if you have bigger hands, this knife is pretty small, which like I said, it's very comfortable. For smaller hands, it'd probably be super perfect. But if you have hands that are a little bigger than probably large size hands, extra large size hands, you're gonna have a little hard time getting into the you know, designated choil spaces here, which is something else I can kind of put on the cons list of this area here. I wish could probably be a little toned down. It's kind of aggressive right here at this point. Along with the jimping, don't think the jimping was necessary since you have such a deep choil there. But again, that's just my you know, my take on it. I'm sure all these designers and, you know, big time knife manufacturers can care less what I say, but I mean, that's just my opinion. So anyways, onto the aesthetics. Blade looks dope. I mean, it's that's what really attracted me to the knife in the beginning, was the blade shape. Let me take a look at it there. Very nice, kind of like a pelican bird looking kind of blade. Again, the micarta is beautiful. You guys know how much I like micarta. Nice contouring, really nice wire clip. I like the way they did the tumbled finish along the liners, you know, matched it with the guard, I mean the pocket clip and the screws here in the front. So, you know, attention to detail was there. Maybe not in the function part of it, but we'll get to that right now. So aesthetics is a plus. Let's see what else I can get into here. So let's get into the opening here. The main issue I had with the knife was, maybe because of the size, I fall kind of too, you know, too up on the knife. I have to kind of fall back to get a good action here. See that? It has a tendency to fail. I'm not sure if it was a designer flaw, you know, or if it was a mechanical issue, but this flipper seems to be very small peckery. I wish it was maybe a little bigger right along here, or somehow just the tolerance of the detent is just way too tough on it, to where you can't get a good kick on it. You literally have to ride the top here and get momentum to kick it out, or you have to really use wrist action to get it open. As a cutting tool, it's good. I mean, you could tell. Let's see here. So I can get a little close up here. I've used it a lot already, and you can tell it's still shaving hair. So it's still shaving sharp. As a cutting tool, it's excellent. The blade is outstanding. The grind on it, the shape, the geometry works very well. So no complaints there. And if you're going to use this as just a cutting tool or a knife to cut, maybe opening it is not going to matter so much. But I think just as this knife alone is advertised as a flipper and thumb hole opener, I would have thought that the flipper action would have been a lot better than having to work so hard to get it out. Again, if you just push button it, it fails almost 50%, 60% of the time. Again, that's why I've been trying to break this in. Centering was perfect, which is why I'm very hesitant to try to take it apart. I did add some little lanyard nuts to it to try to make it fall deeper in my palm, so when I grab it I can flick it out with more consistency. That's the one thing that kind of drives me with knives is you know, when you get a knife, you want to know right away how to deploy it, where to go, where to put your hands. So putting that little lanyard bit here actually helps it fall deeper in my palm, and I can flick it out a little better with more consistency, as opposed to it being that small and then it hits here and I'm way up here on it and I have to start sneaking down just to get the flipper in the right place. The flipper seems to have like a sweet spot where you have to kind of like go in here and get it and push down. So that's really what that helps for. In case you guys wonder what all the lanyards I put on my knives, they sometimes help for that. And the only reason I make a big deal about the flipping action, because this knife compared to its clone, which came out from another company, I think I showed this knife before, is supposed to be a flipper. So you see the flipping action on that. I know it is titanium, it's a frame lock. It's called the Iconic by Factor Knives, I believe. Fugazi knife, but it is what it is. But it shoots out with such authority. Push button, won't fail unless you really try. You can thumb flick it. So and this knife is actually literally, I forgot, you can thumb flick it also as well. That is a plus to this one. And I like the multi openings of the flipping. I just wish the flipper was a lot better. It's kind of like a grandpa flipper, you know, just kind of waiting around for it to sneak around that corner and come around. So it does feel like it's very slow flipping action. Again, it's probably due to that very strong detent they have in there. You can see it right there. So that contributes to it. So along with this knife, like I said, this knife is like about that 1/2 inch bigger, which gives you that little sweet spot. You see it at the back side right here, which is why I put the lanyard. So very similar knives. Again, this is a different knife with different metals. I think it's 35 VN. Still a nice knife. It was one of my first titanium knives, because the original GiantMouse was the reason that I started liking this blade shape. So hopefully not rambling on too much, but I did want to show you that comparison of why I was so kind of let down by this flipper action. And this is already with KPL, 2 weeks worth of, you know, trying to break it in. So that's the major complaint I have with this knife. Had it not been for that flipping action, this knife probably would have been a 10 in my book for sure. So let me see what else I can hit on. Another negative of the knife obviously is the availability. Availability is very limited. It comes and goes. This last availability was only around for a few minutes, and I was lucky enough to get one because I was on the waiting list. So make sure you guys get on those waiting lists, and you know, if you really like these knives or other knives. And so I touched the functionality of it, and you know, the price. Now, price was about $175, I think it was, 180, something like that. So again, for a $180 knife, you're getting a lot. I mean, the blade, the comfort really takes it over the top, and really blinds all the deficiencies it might have of the action. So you can literally get past all the action woes that I have if you just kind of use your wrist, until 1, 2, 3. So you can get a couple flips and some good action if you really, you know, get your hands into it. But again, that's just the biggest complaint I had. But other than that, I really love this knife. I like the feel. I wish it was just a little bit bigger also, and it would probably be an 11 in my book. So right now I'm leaving it as a 9 just because of that advertised flipper action that it should have. Again, flicking it is no problem with the middle finger, index finger, which is the way I do it on my Spydercos. But again, I find myself having to creep back on the handle, which is why I put this to go ahead and have the right placement of my fingers. So once in a while I'll do the middle, but it's a little trickier. But I do like the multi-opening options of this knife, which, you know, make up for all the losses. So I do recommend this knife above all else. I do recommend it, and if you can get your hands on it, I'm pretty sure you will not be disappointed. Just know that you're gonna have to work on the action a little bit, break it in. You know, it kind of feels like an old timer, you know, I say like old timer knife, very thick and heavy. Best carry for me was in the 5th pocket. Since it's small, it rides perfect in that 5th carry of jeans. And for me, I use it more as a specialty knife, you know, when I just want to look cool or have something nice in my pocket, you know, show it off a little bit. Definitely good for that. So it's a bit of a specialty piece. Again, it is a Hall of Fame knife, so I'm going to keep it, but the action I wish could just get a lot better, or hopefully they can fix that problem in, you know, maybe the next, you know, generation of this knife. So I think I might have touched on everything. I didn't do a size comparison with these, but again, here's a quick little comparison to the Benchmade mini grip, which if you've seen my videos in the past, I didn't like this knife at all. This one's even worse because it's just as small, and it's, you know, you have to compress backwards. So that's the size comparison. But again, this is not one of my favorite knives either. I just use it more for sizing. And again, against the Delica, always will be a classic in my book, no matter what. So I love this knife, the waferness of it, very sleek, very cool, and this die job is awesome. So one of my favorites. This will still be around, guys. Never gonna get rid of this one. So that one's a for sure Hall of Famer here. Leave that here. Anyways, so I think that's all I got for this. Redeeming factor was good. Again, if you want a good cutting tool, this knife is the best so far. One of my best knives out there as far as blade geometry. And look at that, look how sharp that is. Look at that. Oof. Can't even see it, it's so thin. So if you want a good cutting tool with some, you know, little bit of effort to get some action, it's all there. So again, thanks you guys for chiming in, and that's it. I'll leave you guys with that. Man, these knives, guys. See you later.